How much would you pay? This gun in my hand.
Falk Siljan, inexplicable hero by virtue of the fact that he carries a gun, entered Parabellum City's Knights of Pythias Hall. Word on the street was that Falk's former sponsor, the National Rifle Manufacturers Association, was holding a gun buyback event. Dozens of gunmen sat on folding chairs in the main chamber of the hall, facing a desk at the back of the room.
Mr. C.O.B.R.A, it's good to see you.
Hey, Falk. Long time no see.
I was surprised to hear about your gun buyback program. Obviously, the NRMA is still doing well if you have money for an event like this. I'm glad you've come around to this way of thinking. I mean, I know how to use my guns, and obviously I need them. Most of these other people, though, it'll be great to get guns out of their hands.
I'm afraid we've given you the wrong impression. There were a few regrettable typos in our announcement. It's actually a gun giveaway featuring double-barrel shotguns by Armas Ugartequia, a manufacturer from the Basque region of Spain. It's not a gun buyback, it's guns by Basques.
Oh.
We don't have the cash to sponsor shows like yours anymore, but we have piles of guns sitting around. So we're offering to sponsor content that will positively portray gun culture, or make people think guns are an effective way to protect themselves against whatever scares them. Our sponsorship payment is made in the form of guns.
That does sound more in character for the NRMA.
If you'll excuse me, I need to get this rabble settled down and start interviewing the applicants. I believe they set up a desk for me on that little stage. Welcome to the Guns by Basques giveaway, presented by the National Rifle Manufacturers Association. I'm Harlan Skabraus, the NRMA's representative for this event, and I'll be conducting the interviews. If everyone could please take your seats, we'll get started. For each show or team that's applying, could you please have one person stand up to answer questions? Thanks. First on the list, we have G.I. Jake. Tell us about yourself, Jake. Actually, there is no single G.I. Jake. It's the name of the whole group. We have a huge team of soldiers with fun code names. Each of us is represented by a collectible action figure with accessories like flamethrowers or guns. My codename is Crank. You may have heard of our other members like Snack Eyes, Pit Boss, Double Down, Over Under, Slasher, Avocado. We've corrected the names of 2 Jakes who had been mistakenly crossed in the past, so now it's Blow Torch and Snow Job. Then, of course, we have Bouncing Betty, Whiskey Pete, Bad Boy, Bad Axe, Gun Guts, Throat Slicer, Killer, other killer who has a dog named Killer. What about this one named Colonel Racism? We might get complaints about him.
That's a hard C in the middle of his name, Colonel Rakeism. It's a Polish surname, I believe. We also have Bloodbath, Outright Villain, Sergeant Murderer, Lieutenant Callie, Henry Kissanger. We have New York Times columnist explaining that another war is regrettably necessary, another columnist who says the first guy is too soft, General Genocide, Raw Schism, The Master Rakes, Final Solution Solver, The Big Oat Tree.
Say no more. You guys are in. We'll give you a call with the details. Next we have Oliver J. Tonson, acting director of ICE. That sounds adventurous. Do you battle an enemy called Fire?
Mr. Scabrous?
It's pronounced just like it's spelled. S-C-A-B-R-O-U-S. Skabraus.
Forgive me, sir. ICE is an acronym for Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Oh, that ICE. Why are you here? You're already funded by the federal government. ICE has practically become the 6th branch of the armed forces.
7th branch, sir. Don't forget the Space Force.
How could I forget? You must be loaded to the gills with guns already. You can't possibly be running low.
No, sir, it's just... Please, sir, I want some more.
Oh, I can't say no to that. You're in. Next, Mackenzie Olson?
Hi, I'm not part of a team, but I think I have a dynamic story that people can relate to. And if you choose me, I'll only need one gun. Preferably one big gun. Anywho, I used to be meek and mousy, if you can believe that, until one day I was in Target looking at electronics. and I asked this worker how many megapixels this camera had, and he answered me okay, but the look he gave me was just like, and it was then that a pure white light shone on me, and it told me, you know what? He's just some stock boy, and you're a customer, and there's no need for someone to get snippy with their eyes when they're talking to a customer. Then the mystical white light revealed my new identity to me. From the powers of the sun goddess Ka and the tiny dog goddess Ren, I would fight the injustice of workers not giving me what I wanted, for I am Ka-Ren. Also, I don't need a robot or armor to hide in, because I am invulnerable to bullets and lasers.
Wow, that mystical white light gave you invulnerability?
No, taking elderberry gummies makes me invulnerable.
Do you have any noteworthy enemies we might have heard of?
My most vicious enemy is Edger. You might not have heard of him by that name, though. He always corrects people because he wants them to say his gender, I guess. He hides behind a network of underlings, and I have to ask to speak to their man, Edger. Since I'm sponsored by elderberry gummies, I've also been targeted by their rivals, the Apple Cider Vinegar Consortium. Do you know they're seeding clouds with apple cider vinegar? That's the chemtrails that spray out the rear of commercial airliners. It forms square clouds.
I'm sorry, ma'am. We don't want dueling sponsorships with any other group. Next.
Crap.
Is Francesca Schuwach here?
Hi, Mr. Scabrous. That's me.
C.O.B.R.A is how my name is pronounced. It's not that hard, people. Think of double-time reggae with a solid horn section, okay? Ska and browse, like grouse only with a B. C.O.B.R.A.
Mr. Scabrous, I lead a team of biplane pilots who perform wing-walking and daredevil acts at county fairs. Villains assume they have an advantage when they see our old-time vehicles, so we catch them off guard when our biplanes change into robots.
I see. Now your tagline makes sense. Fran Stormers, robots in the skies. I like it, but I'm disinclined to sponsor you because your robots already have futuristic guns and missiles built into them. How would you use or display our guns in your show?
Frankly, we plan to sell the guns and use the money, but we're still fulfilling your mission because we're contributing to a culture of violence, teaching kids that violence solves problems. Those kids won't be able to afford smart bombs or missiles or depleted uranium grenade launchers, but they'll buy the next best thing as soon as they can, which will be your guns.
You just went from the bottom of my list to the top. You're approved. We'll give you a call with the details. Next, let's hear from Castro. Aren't you the faithful valet of the masked hero, the Emerald Ash Borer?
No, Castro is just a common name. Also, this form-fitting steel mask that covers my entire head probably means that I'm not using my real name. I'm here representing C.O.B.R.A.
No way! Mr. C.O.B.R.A, you can't consider giving weapons to C.O.B.R.A, the enemy of G.I. Jake.
We're not here to make moral judgments about one group or another. Our mission is to convince average citizens they need guns. Maybe they need guns to protect themselves from people like C.O.B.R.A or Castro. I don't know. I don't care. Mr. Castro, I'd like to hear more, but it sounds like you picked a group name that's already trademarked by Hasbro.
There's no connection between our group and that one, sir. We are simply enthusiastic supporters of the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1985, also known as C.O.B.R.A, which allows workers to continue their health insurance coverage after leaving employment. In fact, that's why we want to destroy G.I. Jake, because they undermine the health insurance industry.
That's a lie. We've never made any statements about health insurance, good or bad.
Tell us, which insurance provider serves the G.I. Jake team, then?
None. We're soldiers. We get healthcare provided directly by the government.
I rest my case. As for why you should sponsor us, Mr. C.O.B.R.A, that's also a simple case. You decided to sponsor G.I. Jake. They need someone to fight against. That's us. We're kind of a package deal.
No argument here. C.O.B.R.A is approved. Next.
Good morning, Mr. C.O.B.R.A.
Please, let's not stand on formality here. Call me Harlan.
Good morning, Harlan. I'm Jerry Campman. I'm here with a group inspired by the entrepreneur and thought leader, Peter Thiel. He's changed our whole way of thinking and our way of life. We'd like to help him achieve his goals any way we can.
With guns.
With guns, yes, absolutely. We plan to serve as an elite fighting unit in his name.
Could you explain your group's full name? I don't quite get it.
Well, there's a half dozen of us. We're somewhat chunky, but in a sexy way, so we're known as Thiel Team Thix.
You know, even though it's spelled with a TH, his name is pronounced like the color. Peter Thiel.
No, how do we? I don't know. We're going to have to rethink this and maybe reapply later.
All right. Who's up next? It's getting to be a bit of a gun show in here. Or should I say a bit of a sausage fest. I'd like to find a team with appeal to the feminine market.
Mr. C.O.B.R.A, I have exactly what you need.
Please, let's not stand on formality here. Call me Harl.
I have exactly what you need, Harl. The team for which I speak began as a toy line and cartoon a few decades ago with all the usual trappings for girls. It has become increasingly beloved by young males as well. Adorable collectible figures of horses in various sizes. Each horse figure has facial or bodily features or accessories representing an episode of the classic television show Twilight Zone. One horse resembles the gremlin from Terror at 20,000 Feet. One has broken eyeglasses and an icon of books painted on its flank. One has the contorted face of the Doctor from Eye of the Beholder episode. The latest iteration of the cartoon is called My Little Zoni, Friendship is Witchcraft.
And your name is?
My name is not important. We can incorporate gunplay into the series quite easily. In fact, we are attempting to infiltrate the G.I. Jake series by offering Zonies as steeds the soldiers can ride into battle. At some point, the Zonies will rise up and take the weapons from G.I. Jakes, as well as conquering their demographic and time slot.
We can hear you. You know members of G.I. Jakes are still here, right?
You will remember nothing.
Okay, it was nice to meet you.
On the one hand, you'd be undermining possibly my favorite series. On the other hand, I love it. Let's slip the Dogs of War, or the Four Ponies of the Apocalypse. Who's next?
That would be me. My name is Race Canyon. My crew and I travel the stars, delivering messages between the forces of goodness and light who are trying to stop the monster vines from dominating the galaxy. That's an invasive species of plants that takes over planets. I don't just mean like kudzu. I mean they grow vines that stretch through space to reach other nearby planets. The fruits they produce turn into trucks and tanks with lasers and buzzsaws and spiked flails on the ends of vine tentacles.
I like what I hear so far. Tell me about your crew.
There's an old wizard, a funny robot who looks like a suit of armor. We travel on a space barge captained by a reluctant smuggler. And there's another plant-based humanoid who turned out good and takes the form of a little girl. She can sense the presence of monster vines and communicate with some other creatures, like her flying fish, which she rides. We also have individual attack and delivery vehicles shaped like sailing ships. That's why we call our team Race and the Keeled Couriers.
You do all your fighting and deliveries on the water? That seems like a limited setting.
No, they all have wheels or tank treads. It's just an aesthetic choice to make them resemble boats. But they are amphibious vehicles, so that part's cool.
We'll definitely sponsor you, Race. I have a few suggestions, though.
Fire away.
For one thing, Keeled Couriers doesn't roll off the tongue, and it doesn't emphasize your strongest points. Maybe instead of Keeled Couriers, you could be Wheeled Warriors. And your name is fairly close to an established cartoon character who was a bodyguard for a scientist and his two sons. Maybe you should change it slightly to distinguish yourself. Your team could be called something like Jace and the Wheeled Warriors.
I'd rather walk away from this sponsorship than sacrifice my integrity.
No, that's fine. It was just a suggestion. We'll sponsor you even if you don't change anything. And we're down to our final applicant, Falk Zildjian.
Falk Zildjian?
I was surprised you'd apply for this gun sponsorship, Falk. You always seemed content with your Heckler & Koch VP70Z. Are you hoping for an upgrade?
No, Mr. C.O.B.R.A.
Please, Falk, you don't have to call me Mr. C.O.B.R.A. We've known each other for years. Call me Ha.
I'm not here to apply for a sponsorship, Ha. Everyone in this room is a lawbreaker, and I'm here to take you all down.
You're outnumbered and outgunned. What are you...
Don't say anything. Everybody quiet. He's powerless as long as no one asks him.
Zildjian, have you got rocks in your head? No, I got this gun in my hand!
How dost thou, Guildenstern? Ah, Rosencrantz, good lads. How do ye both? As the indifferent children of the earth. Happy in that we are not over happy. On Fortune's cap, we are not the very button.
Coming this fall, WPAR Parabellum City is pleased to present Angina Theater, the first dramatic radio show voiced exclusively by actors in pain.
Nor the soles of her shoe? Neither, my lord. Then you live about her waist, or in the middle of her favors. Faith, her privates we.
And don't miss the Old Time Radio Wrestling Federation, Monday nights on the Blue Network. You think the pinnacle of wrestling is when they leap outside the ring and hit each other with chairs? That's kid stuff.
You won't be so tough when my 45 gets through with you.
Oh no, it grazed my temple. I've had my temples grazed by more slugs than the number of jelly beans you've eaten in your whole life. When I get your gun away from you, I won't miss! We're going to the Grotto Club for drinks after?
Still recording.
Sorry, boss.
Gun Buyback, episode 15 of This Gun in My Hand, was manufactured and given away by Rob Northrop. Visit thisguninmyhand.blogspot.com for credits, notes, information on how to subscribe, and to buy my books, such as Little Heist in the Big Woods and Other Revisionist Atrocities. You know what would hurt worse than paying $2.99 for my short story collection? This Gun in My Hand.